From the studios of Foxboro Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Around Foxborough. I'm your host, Jared Craig, and I have with me Julia Pagliarulo. She is from the Craft Group. Thanks for coming, Julia.
How are you? Thanks for having me, Jared. Doing great today.
Thanks. And so Craft Group, obviously a big name in Foxborough. Can you tell us a little bit about what the Craft Group is and what your role is there?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm more on the side of the craft, sports, and entertainment division, and I am a media relations specialist for our business development and external affairs department. And so within that, it's kind of a twofold responsibilities. I handle media relations and communications for stadium events like concerts, Monster Jam, anything that isn't Patriots or Revolution. And then we also do a lot of community relations work within the town of Foxborough. So you might have seen me around saying hi. And if you see me in the future, definitely come and say hello. So I've been doing that since, I've been with the organization since 2018 when I graduated from college. So it's time creeps up. I always joke it's like in dog years. I can't believe how quickly it's gone by, and that I've been there. Now this is my 5th football season, so crazy.
That's fantastic. And so, is it related to Patriot Place in general, or just specifically stadium events? Your job?
Yeah. So my job is yes. Thank you. Yeah. So my job is stadium events, but I also serve as the media relations contact for Patriot Place as well. So involved in a little bit of everything over there, I would say. Help out at Patriots games as well in the press box. So kind of many levels of media relations for stadium events, Patriot Place, within the town of Foxborough, partners in patriotism.
I want to talk about all of that.
Yes,
so we can get into the
Absolutely.
weeds whenever you're ready. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about, there seems to be a lot of turnover at Patriot, not turnover, that's probably the wrong word, but there are a lot of new stores coming in at Patriot Place. There's some upcoming events at the stadium I'd love to talk about. So the floor is yours. Can we start off maybe with what are some, there's been some big announcements of things that are coming at the stadium. Can you talk a little bit about the big ones and some of the concerts, one night only things?
Yeah, absolutely. So it feels like the summer just ended with all of our great events, and now we're already looking ahead to 2023, and definitely really excited about that. So first, we actually have, starting November 18th, we have Magical Lights coming back, which is that holiday drive-through lights experience. So it'll be our 3rd year hosting that event.
Can I ask you a question? And this is totally just out of curiosity, but are cars still allowed to park there during stadium events with the lights set up, or how does that work?
So they've actually, people smarter than me with traffic patterns and stuff like that, engineer it so that around a Patriots home game, it's actually closed for the day of and the day after, so that they can clear out the display and that people can park there for the past game. So
they tear it down and reconstruct it?
To a lesser degree. I think the way that they can set it up is they've figured out, so obviously we started it in 2020 during COVID, so there was we unfortunately couldn't have fans at games, so they didn't have that challenge. But
a great use of space when you can't have people there.
Yeah, and it was great. It was a great way to still be able to have our guests and their families come and spend time with us and be able to create memories, even what was during a completely different sort of time.
The dark days we don't want to talk about.
Exactly, absolutely. And then last season when we hosted it, Patriots, we had our fans back, and so they kind of had figured out a way to move the displays so that people could park, and then they could easily reset.
Great. Thanks for that tangent. I've just always been curious, so I wanted to ask.
Yes, they've got it figured out. So
that starts November 18th.
So it starts November 18th. So we're excited to have that. That'll be there through December 31st. So tickets are on sale for that now. Excited to have them back. Kind of crazy. We're already thinking about the holidays.
Yep.
But I feel like I just looked up and it's, what is it, November 7th? So excited for that. And then looking ahead to the summer, we announced actually just last week, Taylor Swift is coming back for 3 shows. So that's May 19th, 20th, and 21st. So thrilled to have her back. I know a lot of people are really excited about that.
You can't get her for any more. She was only doing,
well,
3.
She went from 2, and then she actually announced on Friday that she was adding the 3rd. So that was a big announcement for us.
Great.
Really excited to have her back. Have Luke Combs coming into town. So we're excited to have him. This will be his first time at Gillette.
Oh, cool.
he's kind of been somebody that, I believe he's touring now as well. But country music, yep. So he's kind of just started doing stadiums with his most recent tour, and now he's kind of going in and doing a world tour. So happy to have him coming in for a stop, and then Ed Sheeran as well is coming back to Gillette.
Cool.
So he was here in 2018, and he's coming back. So yeah, really excited. So now we're kind of gone from concert season to now announcement season, with football season mixed in and holiday season mixed in. So it's always busy, but that's what I really like.
That's great. And I wanted to ask too, just because it is around Foxborough, I believe at one point I read that the town of Foxborough gets like $1.50 per ticket for all of these events.
Sure.
Do you have information on that? Can you tell us? Because I'm just like, why would I as a resident complain about these events when it's bringing so much revenue, not just to the area, but to our actual town coffers? Yeah,
absolutely. So there is something called, like you said, the town user charge, where the town of Foxborough gets one set amount for every ticket sold for Patriots and Revolution, and I don't know the exact figure in front of me, but then for external events like what you mentioned, like concerts and the dirt events like Monster Jam, Supercross, events like that, they also get a rate as well, and it's a higher rate. I believe it's like over $2.50. Wow. So yeah, absolutely. I think something that I've really learned from my time working with craft sports and entertainment is that you're really only as good as your partnerships and your relationships with other people. And whether that's with the people that I work with directly within the organization, and then externally, in terms of working with the tour, working with the town of Foxborough and having their partnership and support in all of the events we do, like it's truly a team effort and something that we could not do without the support of the town of Foxborough and all the great people we've met here, and that's been one of the things that I've really enjoyed. I'd say the most is that we're obviously a big organization, but we are grounded within that small, tight-knit community, and to have that as kind of your foundation, I think has really paid dividends for us and been something that I personally really value. I didn't grow up in Foxborough; I grew up in Medfield, which is also a small town, so I kind of know what that's like to be part of a community. And to work together as a community, and I think that's something that's been really great for me working within this organization. Is, like I said, it's at such a large scale, but grounded in kind of that tight-knit community of hardworking people. I feel that. I feel like there's a pretty close connection. We can talk in a minute about partners and patriotism and the newsletters you all send home. But first, I did want to, while we were talking about the big events at the stadium, you just announced the Army-Navy game is going to happen here and the World Cup. Can you talk a little, not every game of the World Cup, obviously. But. Yes. So yes, Army-Navy game in 2023, and actually our football game this weekend for the Patriots, a salute to service game. So excited to have many members of the armed forces joining us then, and kind of thanking them for their service and recognizing them. And Army-Navy game is something that people within our organization have been working to get here for a really long time, and to kind of have that pay off is really special. And I think to have, we've hosted Winter Classics before, we've hosted, we've hosted national events, but I think there's nothing really like America's game in terms of the tradition and just kind of having the cadets there, and people just flock to that. That is always like one of the hardest tickets to get every year, which surprised me when I first realized that. But it's, for so many families, that game means so much. Yeah, it truly is like something that it's bigger than the game played on the field. Absolutely. So really looking forward to that. So I believe it's December 9th, 2023. We'll be having them. So great. Really looking forward to that. And then in the same week, actually, when we announced the Army-Navy game, I think we announced Army-Navy on a Wednesday, and then Thursday night we found out that we were awarded matches for the 2026 World Cup. So it's definitely a busy week, but busy in a good way. Yeah. So don't know yet how many matches, what teams, anything like that. I know. Because World Cup 2022 is just about to start, so we're not looking that far ahead. You have to qualify for the World Cup too, so they wouldn't be able to say Ireland and England are playing here. Absolutely. Right? So, but I mean, as we get closer to that, I think we'll know our schedule. We'll know who's playing there. We'll know if we're awarded, a quarterfinal or another another match of that caliber. So looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a completely different event in terms of just international scale and the amount of interest in the World Cup. So that'll be a really cool experience. So we're definitely, like I said, we're definitely staying busy, but
my hope is that it sort of elevates soccer regionally too.
Yeah.
The fact that it's, at least we're gonna have at least one game, right? We've been told that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
That maybe the whole region will kind of embrace that sport in a way that we haven't yet, and that would be good for the revolution too. I mean, what an exciting event!
Absolutely, super exciting, and I think it kind of continues that mission of having Gillette Stadium and Foxborough as a destination, right? Not just for Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran and Luke Combs and those superstars for concerts, but being center stage for national events like Army Navy, international events like the World Cup, and again, like I said, that's something that our organization works in tandem with Foxborough to bring those in, and it's it's not just us being on the stage, it's Foxborough, and that's something that we take a lot of pride in. And
pretty cool for a small town between Boston and Providence, right?
Absolutely,
I mean, it's kind of cool.
Absolutely. So yeah, we're really looking forward to that, and then we should have the new stadium improvements should be done by that point as well, which will be really cool. So
yeah, can you talk a little bit about that? I remember hearing at one point there's going to be like an observation deck, but right now it's just there at the game yesterday. But there's like scaffolding and construction, and I think it looks like they're building like turbines for the skydiving place.
So that's the Patriot Place indoor skydiving. They're working on that. That's a separate project.
There's there's a ton of construction right when walking from Route 1, the North Street side in. I'm like, oh wow, there's so much happening right now. Can you talk a little bit about some of that?
So these improvements, it's basically going to be the most dramatic improvements to Gillette Stadium since it opened in 2002, and that's really something that I think the Kraft family's worked really hard on, is to just continually improving and renovating the space and keeping the building on the cutting edge so that it can be along for a long time. Like you see, some other NFL teams, like I know Nissan Stadium where the Titans play. I think their building opened around the same time as Gillette Stadium, but they got to a point where it's not feasible for them anymore, and they're looking to build another, multi-billion-dollar stadium with public funding and stuff like that. So I think, like I said, we've always tried to kind of stay ahead of it so that we don't have to get to that point. So
correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Gillette Stadium built with no public
correct
funding?
Yep. And same with these renovations, is they're entirely privately funded by the Kraft family. So I think that's something that we're really proud of as an organization, is that creating Gillette Stadium was entirely privately funded, and every renovation and improvement we've had since then has also been entirely privately funded. So this will be, I think,
because who wants to fund a billionaire's stadium, right?
Sure.
I think Kraft did it the right way. I think your organization did it the right way by doing that.
Yeah, and so these improvements will be $225 million, entirely privately funded. And so what will happen is that scaffolding you saw, every level of the building is going to be connected 360 degrees. Cool. So right now, I don't know how familiar people are with the building, but right now you can only walk all the way around the building on, I believe, the 100 level, but we'll have some extra hospitality space in there, the 300, it'll all be connected.
Because where the lighthouse was, it didn't connect. There was like a wind tunnel. I'm sure people who have been to Patriot Place have looked down that beautiful archway, so it's kind of fun to be able to see into the stadium just on a visit.
Well,
Is that going away?
Yeah, well, so it'll be 360 degrees, but we will be adding a lighthouse, which will have an observation deck. So the old lighthouse was more of, you couldn't go up in it. It was just a part of the stadium design, but not necessarily functional. But this will be 360-degree observation deck. You'll be able to stand up there. You'll be able to see Foxborough, but you'll also be able to see into Boston and Providence at the same time from being up there. So, and I believe that'll be open, not just while we have games. That'll be open on a daily basis,
ticketed
or semi-daily basis.
Do you know?
I believe it'll be. I don't personally know. I believe it'll just be open for the public to go see. But
that'd be cool.
Don't hold me to that. I don't know for a fact.
Saturday afternoon bike ride with the kids, and
absolutely
go and do that.
But also we're going to be putting in the largest outdoor video board in the NFL.
Cool.
So that'll be something really cool. So really looking forward to having that done. As you saw, it's kind of they're working really hard on getting that done. looking to have that done for the start of the 2023 season.
Oh, perfect.
Yep.
So the Army-Navy game, it'll be all set.
Absolutely, yep. Army-Navy game all set. World Cup definitely all set.
Awesome.
Any other events we have after the start of the 2023 season, it'll be really great. So that'll be
cool.
It's definitely an exciting time. Absolutely.
Great. Can you talk a little bit about some of the new stores that are going in there? I know if anybody paid attention to the Selectmen's meeting, we've been seeing that the axe throwing place, the Fat Tuesday, had to get some permits. So can you talk a little bit about some of those?
Sure. So yeah, Patriot Place, that team up there is always working really tirelessly to bring exciting new tenants and bring, in places that people want to go and want to spend time with their family, with their friends. So like you mentioned, Crazy Axes is one of them, which is an axe throwing, recreational axe throwing facility, which I think has really kind of started to pop up a lot of places as of late. So that's coming in. I believe that'll be open soon. I think they're aiming for end of this year, start of next year. You mentioned the Freedom Wind Tunnel, which they're doing construction on, and that was actually announced pre-COVID. Obviously, their timeline had to be changed.
So it goes.
As a lot of people had to experience, and now that's working on it. Fat Tuesday, kind of like a fun drink and food place that they're putting in. Crumble Cookies is another one they're putting in. So that's kind of, that's just fun, different cookies. So that'll be in place. And then It's Sugar, which actually did just open, which is a candy store, basically. Yeah. So with, larger than life candies, novelty candy, just traditional good candy that you like, anything like that. So that's in there as well. So yeah, they're always, like I said, they're always moving over there, always putting in.
Makes it a 7-day-a-week venue instead of just eight games a year, maybe playoffs if you're lucky, plus the revolution, and concerts. It really does feel like every time I drive by, there's a bunch of cars there. People are shopping, they're eating and drinking, and having a good time.
Yeah, and it's not only they're working on the tenants, but they also, I think, really go above and beyond in terms of events that they plan. Right, so I know the holiday tree lighting is a big one they do every year, where they light up what is their giving tree, and that's November 18th this year as well, actually. So same as Magical Lights, that they worked it out so that it would kind of coincide at the same time. But that's always a really fun time. They hosted an Oktoberfest celebration for the first time this year. They always have the Fall Harvest celebration. They have their Irish Fest celebration. So they, I think it's, like you said, it's a year-round venue, and as somebody that works up there, it's crazy. There'll be a random Tuesday night. I'm driving. I'm like, what are all these cars for, right? And it's just people coming to spend time.
That's great. It really is a regional destination, too.
It's great, yeah.
So one thing I want to talk about too, to take it back down to the community level, we mentioned Partners in Patriotism before. I want to thank you so much for all the good that you all do for that. Can you talk a little bit about what Partners in Patriotism is, how people can either get involved or apply?
Sure. Yeah, so Partners in Patriotism is kind of our overarching name, branding for our work within the community of Foxborough. So kind of a couple different things within that, right? So one of them is the Partners in Patriotism Fund. So annually, the Kraft family has earmarked $100,000 for the Foxborough community. So $25,000 of that is given to graduating Foxborough seniors as a scholarship, so that they apply for. And then the other is broken up for community and personal assistance grants. So if someone's going through a really hard time, is a Foxborough resident, and just needs that little bit of help that's going to get them back on the right track, that's something that we would grant requests for. I know we've had people that their car caught on fire, and they couldn't get to work, they couldn't get their kids to where they needed to go, and that was something where they applied to the Partners in Patriotism Fund, and we helped with that. Somebody else whose daughter had mobility issues, she was in a wheelchair and she needed help, with a lift, help with that. So that's kind of the personal assistance side of that, and then as well as community assistant grants. So anything from the Foxes that the cultural.
I'm on the Culture Council.
Okay,
thank you very much for that.
Yeah, of course. That you guys are working on for that. Came to us. Seemed like a great idea. Love the chance to get involved with that.
I got to say that really bailed us out too, because in order to start the project, we needed to have a certain amount of funding for that, just to say we'd like to move forward. And so we were like, we don't want to start asking businesses yet. We're not at that place. So we put in a request for Partners in Patriotism, and you were so jealous to help with that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and absolutely. And I think, so I'm part of the board of directors that kind of oversees it, but the cool thing about it is the people that are actually voting and reviewing each grant application and discussing them and deciding how funds are allocated are actually Foxborough residents. Cool. So it's a group of Foxborough residents. We meet every month, go over all the grants that we've gotten. And they're ultimately the ones reviewing it and making those decisions.
Is there an opportunity for people to join that group if they're interested, or are they handpicked?
Yes, no, absolutely. If you apply, so GilletteStadium.com/partnersinpatriotism.
Great.
That's kind of our page where you can see kind of many of our community initiatives, kind of those big main groups, and as part of that, you can apply to be on the grants committee if you'd like. So,
fantastic.
I don't know exactly each year we basically have new people apply or don't. So that's one fund of it. One bracket is the PIP fund.
Yep.
Something else we have is actually the resident rewards program is something that we're kind of building out now. And so that was something that we kind of started with the concept, again, right before COVID, and now kind of revisiting. But it's basically an exclusive offering for Foxborough residents to give them access to organizational benefits. So that's a fancy way of saying, right, like we've used it for tickets to the in-stadium practice, but we're building it out to actually verify residents and exclusive pre-sale opportunities. So we're hoping to be able to offer that moving forward. So if I know a lot of people have already filled out and registered, but if you haven't, again, that same website, GilletteStadium.com/partnersinpatriotism, and encourage you to sign up and stay tuned for some stuff we can offer through that.
What's the benefit of every resident is able to apply for this verification, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So they would just, it's a form, it's a pretty basic form you fill out, it's your name, it's your address. You have to provide just a picture of proof of residency just because it is for Foxborough residents.
Sure. What benefits do we get?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's pre-sale opportunities for concerts and things of that nature.
Cool.
Is kind of the big one. And then access to the Patriots and stadium practice tickets, which I know a lot of residents join us for every year. And it's something that is only open for season ticket members and Foxborough residents, and anything else that comes up, right? Okay. So who's to even say what that could be at this point? But I think once everyone's in there and registered.
Parking, gives parking. Right.
Yeah.
Cool, that's great. All right, well, we should all do that, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people have already, I think, started to sign up, but again, encourage you to if you haven't. And then also another thing we put together is the Partners in Patriotism newsletter, which most of you probably receive. And that's kind of just another opportunity for us to connect with the community and share kind of what we have going on, what we've been doing with Foxborough, things of that nature. So that's quarterly publication we mail to all Foxborough residents.
It's always fun to see the graduates who got the scholarships on the field with their families and see all the PIP grants or Partners in Patriotism, aka PIP grants that go out. So I always look at it, and it's nice to have the calendar of events too and know it's going to be heavy traffic on that day.
Right, absolutely, yeah. So that's something we work on, and then there's a lot of other things baked into that. We have Noteworthy Neighbor, which is kind of something that was we started during COVID as kind of a way, during a time where people were going through some hard times, to kind of spotlight members of the community that were going above and beyond, right? And that's something that I think we envisioned initially as just being a COVID thing, but it's really blown us away with how many people in our community are really just selfless and giving back to others. So that's something that we do. So if you know anybody, if you guys have anyone in mind, you can email us, foxboroughresidents@gillettestadium.com.
Cool.
We are always looking for great nominees and hearing their story. So that's something we do.
Sounds fantastic, yeah.
Just a variety of community events. Like, for instance, the Kraft family is kind of a thank you to town workers, did a lunch truck tour a couple weeks ago where they they were gracious enough to get lunch for employees, so public safety building, town hall, just as kind of a way to say thank you, and that
fantastic.
Appreciate the efforts and know that this isn't like your typical town where, what the events you're doing, and everyone really just, like I said, continues to go above and beyond, and Foxborough is really the reason we can do anything we can do up at the stadium. So just kind of a way of saying thank you for that. And then even things like National Night Out, Pat Patriot and the cheerleaders, try to have them there. I know Ali Rodriguez has been really working hard in planning a veterans event for this Friday, with, and we'll have Pat Patriot and the cheerleaders there. So anytime that we can be involved and kind of be out there and hanging with our neighbors, we love to do it. So.
Yeah. So our time is almost up, but I did want to talk about the Patriot Place train station is now the Foxborough commuter
Station.
rail.
Yep.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that? Is it still in its pilot program, or have we
Yes. So again, this is a recurring theme, so weekday commuter rail service started initially with a pilot program in 2019.
I remember. Yeah.
COVID stopped it, so we basically relaunched with a brand new pilot September 12th of this year, year-long pilot of weekday commuter rail service. But the thing we're really excited about this time around, and that us and Foxborough worked really closely with the MBTA and MassDOT on, is making it a commuter-friendly schedule. Last time, a lot of the feedback we got from people was, I want to take this, I want to support this, but the times just don't work for me to get to work or for me to leave work. And so, honestly, in somewhat of a blessing in disguise, right, that we had that chance to pause, take in all that feedback, disseminate it in a way that was helpful to the MBTA, and they listened. And now we're really happy with the schedule. 10 outbound, 11 inbound stops daily at those peak commuter times. That'll get you in for, if you start work at 8, if you start work at 9, if you start work at 7.
With free parking, right?
And with free parking. And so, we also, the craft group subsidize the cost of parking. So if you're commuting every day, it's $4. It's typically at other stations $4 a day. Here it's free. So you're saving like almost $80 a month. And so we're really, that's something that has been a priority for us for a really long time. So excited to have that underway and have it, going well.
Us too.
And so and I absolutely, I think that's something that not just for people coming to Patriot Place or Gillette Stadium, but for people coming to Foxborough and all along Route 1 and just visiting our area, especially as, we're looking ahead to the World Cup. And other events like that. I think just kind of having that established, easy way to get back and forth.
So accessible. Yeah, why not?
It's great.
Yep.
So, it's really exciting.
Absolutely. That's all the time we have for today. Is there anything else I didn't get a chance to ask you about that you had wanted to talk about while you were here?
No, I feel like we covered a lot of ground. I feel like we really covered a lot of ground. Just really appreciate you taking the time to have me on, and if anybody sees me around, say hello. Hopefully I'll see you guys at community events. But just really enjoy being a part of this community, being a part of the craft group and the craft sports and entertainment, and appreciate the time, and thanks for having me.
Well, thanks, Julia. Thanks for being here. I also want to take a few minutes to thank some people who make the show happen. Our director, Paul Beck, thank you so much. Jury Love, our producer. Fanny Mizarambe, our editor. And Michael Weber, our executive director. I'm your host, Jared Craig. I had with me today Julia Pagliarulo. I knew I would mess it up at the end. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
From the craft group. This is Around Foxborough. Thanks for tuning in.